Substitution is another method you can use to solve a system of equations. We already went through one method in a previous video on solving a system of equations by graphing. Substitution is another way without using a graph. So what is the substitution method? There are 3 steps that you can use to solve this with the substitution method. Step 1, when necessary, solve at least one equation for one variable. So if you look at this example here, this top equation y equals 1/4 x minus 1/2, that is an example where one equation is solved for one variable. We already know what y is. Y is 1/4 x minus 1/2. Step 2, you're going to substitute that resulting expression from step 1. So what that's saying is we're going to take this part 1/4 x minus 1/2, and we're going to substitute that in for y in the other equation. And then we're going to solve for the variable x. Step 3 says substitute the value from step 2 into either of the equations to solve for the other variable. And then you can write the solution as an ordered pair, or you can just say x equals this number, y equals that number. But keep in mind that you could have one solution, no solution, or many solutions. So in our example here, we already have one variable solved for. So we're going to use that one. We're going to substitute 1/4 x minus 1/2. If that's what y is, I'm going to substitute that in for this y right here. So that's going to give me 8x plus 12 times, and in parentheses, I'm going to put 1/4 x minus 1/2, and all of this has to equal a negative 1/2. Now I'm going to get rid of my parentheses by distributing the 12. So right now I have 8x plus 12 times 1 is 12, divided by 4 is 3. So plus 3x, and then minus half of 12 is 6. And that has to equal a negative 1/2. I'm going to combine like terms, but before I do that, I want to get this 6 to the other side, so I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So now I have 8x plus 3x is 11x equals negative 1/2. If I want to make the 6 in halves, I'm going to multiply this by 2 halves, so they have common denominators. So I have negative 1/2 plus 12 halves. So 12 minus 1 is 11. So I have 11 halves. The opposite of multiplying by 11 is dividing by 11, or I can think of it as multiplying by 1/11. And I'm putting this as a fraction because I have a fraction on the other side. So 11x times 1/11, or think of it as 11 divided by 11 equals x, equals, and on this side, I can simplify this part. The 11's divide out, and I'm left with 1/2. So x would be 1/2. Now I'm going to substitute half in for x in one of the two equations so I can find my y. Since I'm trying to find my y, I'm going to use this top equation. It doesn't matter which one I use, I'll still get the same answer, but I'm going to put the bottom one because that allows me to do less steps. So y equals 1/4 times 1/2 minus 1/2. Now I have y equals 1/8 minus, and if I want to make 1/2 as eighths, I'm going to multiply this by 4/4. And that's going to be minus 1/8, or 4/8. 1/8 minus 4/8 gives me an answer of a negative 3/8. So my solution here would be x equaling 1/2 and y equaling -3/8. Next example. You're going to use substitution again here. Follow the same 3 steps. Looking at my two equations here, none of them have a variable by itself. So I'm going to take this bottom one because this is just a plain x here. I'm going to subtract 4y on both sides. And now I have x equaling a -4y plus 18. And if that's what x equals, I'm going to substitute this in for this x up here so I can solve for y. So now I'm going to have 5 times a -4y plus 18. This will be minus 3y equals a -25. And since I still have parentheses in there, we always want to get rid of parentheses in our equations so we can get the variable by itself. So I'm going to distribute a 5, which will give us a -20y. And then 5 times 18 will give us 90. So plus 90. Minus 3y equals a -25. I want to get the y's together. That means I don't want this 90 here, so I'm going to subtract 90 on both sides. And this gives me -20y minus 3y is a -23y equals -25 minus -90 is a -115. And to get y by itself, I'm going to divide by -23. And I'm left with y equaling -115 divided by -23 is going to give me a +5. Now that I know what x is, I'm going to substitute the 5 in for y. And I'm going to use this rewritten equation because that already has x by itself. So I have -4 times 5 is -20. -20 plus 18 is going to give me a -2. So my equation, or my solution would be y is 5 and x is a -2. So that is how you can use the substitution method to solve a system of equations.